what's up guys, and welcome to our video. Today we're going to be doing a series of videos on the best way to get water in the wild. Today we're going to be seeing how to make plant transpiration bags. And after 5 videos we are going to declare a winner. See you in a second. Before we start building, these are the criteria that we are going to use to judge all of the water getting
contraptions. Okay, so this column is just going to be the column that we use for the name of the contraption. So this video we're going to do plant transpiration bags, and then we're going to fill it in at the end with these 4.
1,
with these
2, 3, 4.
Okay, these 4 criteria. So the first one is going to be simplicity. So how simple it is to build, how easy it is to do and get a good result. Because you don't really want to be doing something that's super hard and takes a lot of practice and precision when you only got 1 or 2 chances. Second thing is materials, like how likely you are to have the things needed to make it. So like for the plant transpiration, all you're going to need is a garbage bag, so that would have a high number in materials. The next one is drinkability, so how able you are to drink the water when you're done. So if it's dirty, it's going to have a low number. If you're going to have to boil it, but it looks pretty clear, it'll have a medium number. And if you don't even need to boil it and it's ready to drink as soon as it comes out of the contraption, then it's going to have a high number in drinkability. And the last criteria is going to be yield, how much water you get in one try at it. And yeah, then at the end we're going to total it up. Each category is going to have a number between 1 and 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, and we're going to total it up at the end, and then after all 5 videos are done, we're going to declare a winner. Let's get to work.
Okay, so this is the elm tree. We're gonna be bagging this up, and we're gonna see how much water we can get from it. And if this doesn't do very good, we're gonna try some different types of trees. We really didn't pick this one. We didn't have any reason or anything. We just figured it was pretty easy because it's got a nice low protruding branch that we can easily put a bag on. And so we'll see how much water we get. Okay, so at the same time as the elm tree, we're going to be trying whatever type of tree this is to see how much water it produces. Thank you.
Good?
Okay, so this has been about like 12 hours since we put these up, maybe. I don't know, it's not looking too good. I mean, looks about exactly the same as when we put it on. No water, nothing. Okay, seems we're having the same problem over here with the elm tree. No water, just a garbage bag. I think we're gonna try some different trees. Okay, so we already tried this on the elm tree over there and whatever the heck that other tree was. And now we're trying it on the sassafras and the oak tree.
Maple. Just keep going. Yeah, the maple tree. I'll show you in a second.
Yeah, maple tree. As you can see, this is already starting to condensate. So I think the sassafras is going to be the best of the 4 trees. This is the maple tree after about the same amount of time, like an hour or so. This is the sassafras tree after about 4 hours. And as you can see, there's a lot of condensation all over the bag. And if you shake it, you can get the water to drip down, and maybe there's a little bit down here in the corner now. So meanwhile, down here, this is the maple tree at 4 hours, which is doing much better than the elm tree and whatever other tree that was, which we should probably look up by the end of this. But anyways, yeah. It doesn't have as much condensation as the sassafras tree, but I think there is a little bit more than, well, there's definitely more than the elm tree. Okay, so this is the sassafras tree after about 6.5 hours. Yeah, 6.5 hours. And there's a lot of condensation all over the bag, and water comes up to about there on the bag. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident about this. Just get as much of the condensation off as possible. There we go. And I'm gonna take it off the branch, if I can untie it. Got some leaves in there. Quite a bit of water. Yeah. Okay, we'll chop this.
This is a lot harder than it should be.
I'll say a little bit less than a half a cup, about.
Yeah, I say it's pretty close to a half a cup, I think. So we're gonna give it that.
Okay, so obviously this one doesn't have as much water as the sassafras tree, and there's a little bit of condensation. I don't know if I would call it condensation. It's a little bit foggy. Did better than the elm tree though, for sure, but there's not really any water in the bottom, so I don't think we're gonna bother measuring this.
Okay, so now that we're done with the plant transpiration experiment, we're going to judge it overall for the best way to get water. And before that, we are going to actually rank the 4 trees that we used and explain why we think certain ones were better than others. So we'll start with the last place, which was what we finally looked up, and we think it's some type of ash tree. So these are the leaves.
Definitely the worst place.
Yeah. So I think just the fact that these leaves are so thin and they're kind of dry,
And small.
yeah, they're smaller, so they don't have as much water in them. Just kind of put this tree out. And next,
Is the ash tree.
elm.
Which,
You're kind of bad with remembering what types of tree it is.
okay, so this is the sassafras and the oak tree.
Maple. Just keep going.
Better than all of the oak tree and the whatever.
And random.
Okay. So we already tried this on the.
Elm. It's the elm tree.
Okay. Anyway, it's the
Elm. Mm-hmm.
elm tree. Yep. Elm. Anyways, is the elm tree. The leaf just, like, when you feel it, it just feels dry. And they're not too small of leaves, but they're much smaller than all of the sassafras leaves. And they're very thin and hard. They don't feel like they're wet at all.
Yeah, they just have a much drier feel than the other two. And next, in second place, is the maple tree. And when we were doing some research, we found out that the bigger the leaf, the more water that it has inside of it. And since the maple leaves, they just sort of got more space and surface area, that's probably why they did better. And they also just feel like more like glossy and wet than the first two.
Then last in first place,
You probably guessed it.
obviously. Anyways, is the sassafras.
I forgot my line.
Which really feels very glossy and moist, and is very, like, soft and easy to rip and thin.
They're just floppy.
Yeah.
Well, they're actually thicker than the other
Yeah, they're
leaves.
thicker than the other leaves.
They hold more water. Yeah.
The-
But also, the sassafras tree, it was in the sun for the longest of any of them, so that may have played into it a little bit. So, if you're out in the wilds and you're lost, you need water, try to look for a sassafras tree in the sun. So put a garbage bag around. So now, we're going to rank it on the table. And it'll be
according to the sassafras.
Yeah, the sassafras. We're just not even going to bother with the other ones because the sassafras was the best. So we're going to give it the best chance possible on this table. And it will be in the running for the best way to get water in the wild. So
Simplicity.
we're going to start on simplicity. And the
I think.
What do you
it's
think
pretty
about that?
Simple. You just put a
Yeah.
bag around a tree. And
I think this is
tie it.
probably the simplest one that we have. So
10.
I think a 10 on simplicity for this one. How about materials?
You could use a lot of things like a snack bag, or you could use a tarp, or a garbage bag, or
Yeah.
maybe a grocery bag would work if it didn't have any holes or anything.
The likelihood that you have something that you can use is pretty high, so I think we're going to give this one maybe a 9. What do
Yeah,
think
you could
about
use
that?
a Gore-Tex jacket
And
too.
then 9's good. Just ignore the numbers. They don't mean anything down here. So for drinkability, I think even though in the video this one had some things floating in it, I think that it has a lower probability for like bacteria than some of the other ones that we're
It
going
was
to do.
just some bark and stuff off
Yeah,
of
the
the
stuff that came off of the leaves.
leaves and stuff. So you could easily just like kind of pick it out, and I think it would be fine. So drinkability, we could give
7.
7.
And the yield, it didn't give that much. I think it was just under half a cup. So it had just under half a cup, which really isn't that much if you're considering like what you need to survive. The average person needs about a gallon of water a day to live, so half a cup is not getting you very far in
But
terms
if you have
of-
multiple bags on this tree, you could probably get about enough.
Yeah. So I think yields will give it like 2 or 3. What do you say?
Yeah, 2.
2? Okay. So yield gives us a 2. And so this one is not going to get you much water, but in terms of simplicity, materials, and drinkability,
Yeah,
it's
because
a
the
pretty
yield, we're
safe
basing
bet.
the yield off of 1 try.
Yeah, 1 try. So it is a good option if you really need water, but it's probably not going to get you much, so I would recommend several bags. So that brings our grand total for the plant transpiration to 28. And it's definitely in the running for the best way to get water in the wild. It's got 3 high numbers and just 1 little one. So that sums up the plant transpiration contraption, I guess, for getting water. And okay, part 2 is going to be coming out on YouTube in the next couple of days. And for the next one, we're going to be working on something called an evaporation trap. Goodbye.